Hello Year 9, it's Mrs Hill here, and I'm just going to do a presentation with you to show you one of the two options that you can choose if you want to pick sport in Key Stage 4. So we're going to talk now about GCSE PE. So there are two presentations, there's one on BTEC Sport and there's this one on GCSE PE, and they are assessed and taught quite differently. Okay, and as I said in the BTEC presentation, whichever course suits you the most will be decided by your PE teachers, because we know where your strengths and weaknesses will lie in your PE lessons, and we will pick the course that most suits the way that you learn and your abilities. So GCSE, it's got different elements to the specification. It's got lots of theory. There is a lot of theory work. But there is also a lot of practical performance, and there is a lot of analysis of performance. You will learn the theory throughout the 2 years of year 10 and 11, and alongside that you will do practical lessons where your teacher will assess you practically, and that will be either they will video you or they will assess you by watching you and giving you a mark, okay? And you will get marked in your sport out of 25, okay? So you'll get a mark out of 25 marks for your sport. And then you will complete some coursework, which is your analysis of performance. But I'm going to talk more about that in the next slide. This course is an absolute fantastic option for pupils who have a genuine interest in sport and they want to learn about the meaning behind the sport, the science behind it, why the mind does what it does. So for example, when you come to take a penalty in training, you can score it every single time, but when you're in front of a massive crowd and there's high pressure, because it means if you score that penalty, your team wins the cup, for example. Why is it that some people crumble under that pressure and miss the penalty? Okay, so the mind and the sport psychology behind why we do what we do, and just being able to understand the mechanics behind how we are able to perform the way that we are. You have to have a genuine interest in sport if you are going to do this course, because there is quite a lot of theory to it, which is really interesting and really good if you're interested in sport, because every single thing that you learn is related back to sport. Okay, so you do learn some scientific things. You look at the body and you look at the anatomy and physiology of the body, but it's always in relation to a sporting context. Okay, and then obviously pupils have the opportunity to demonstrate their practical talents. So you are assessed in 3 sports at GCSE, and I'm going to talk more about that in the next slide. So this is how the subject is taught and how it's broken down. You can see there that the subject content areas, you've got anatomy and physiology, which is the body, the learning of the body, so the bones and the muscles, okay, and the effects of exercise and aerobic and anaerobic exercise, which is linked to your knowledge maps that you are currently doing at the moment. So if you enjoy learning those knowledge maps and the theory behind this might be a really good option for you. You will do something called movement analysis, which is looking at how we move and why we move in certain ways that we do. Physical training, so training methods, if you want to be a personal trainer, this one will be of particular interest to you. Data, so how over time data in PE has changed. So for example, 10 years ago, the female participation rates in sport were much lower than males, but now they're obviously coming up, so they're almost sort of level pegging now. Sport psychology, so the mind, so why we think the way we do when we're playing sport, why we act the way we do, why is it that certain players lash out and lose their temper and get red cards and sent off, okay, that the sport psychology will show us the reasons behind that. Socio-cultural influence, so the influence on the media of sport and how the media generate lots of the sponsorship around sport and the money, and you will learn about things like drugs in sport and why athletes feel the pressure to take drugs. And then finally, health, fitness and well-being, which is looking at the importance of a healthy and active lifestyle. So looking at things like diet and a sedentary lifestyle and our body types and how they suit certain sports. So loads and loads of theory, which if you're interested in sport is really fascinating and really interesting, okay? If you listen to everything I just said and were sat there thinking, well, none of that really interests me, then this might not be the course for you. But if you were sat there thinking, I really find that interesting and I'd love to learn more about that, this might be a really good option. So how are you assessed then? So you have 2 theory papers that are 1 hour, 15 minutes each, and each of those theory papers, each of those exams is worth 30% of your grade. You will do a coursework, which is an analysis and evaluation of your performance. So you will watch yourself back on the videos and you will analyse your own performance and evaluate the impact that has. That's 10%. And then you'll be assessed in 3 practical sports. One has to be individual, so something like athletics, rock climbing, badminton, trampolining, gymnastics, dance. And one has to be team, so that's netball, football, hockey, basketball, and all of those sports. And then the third one can be your choice, so it can be another individual or another team. So you might choose to do, for example, badminton, football and netball, or you might choose to do trampolining, badminton and handball. Okay, so the one's got to be team, one's got to be individual, and then the third one is up to you, which is your strongest. So you can see at the bottom of the slide there, 60% theory, 10% coursework, and 30% is practically assessed through 3 sports. And this is how it looks on the exams. So you can see the topic areas are split across 2 exams. So you've got paper 1, which is the human body, and paper 2, which is the socio-cultural influences. So paper 1 is looking at anatomy and physiology, movement analysis and physical training. Paper 2 looks more at the mind, so the sports psychology, socio-cultural influences, and the health, fitness and well-being. And both of those exam papers are 1 hour and 15 minutes each, 78 marks, and worth 30% each of your final grade. And then you can see the last box, it just shows you about the non-examined assessment, which is your coursework. So you do an analysis and evaluation, which is 25 marks, 3 sports, which are all 25 marks each, giving you a total of 100 marks, which is 40% of your overall grade. Careers and further study then, so very similar. I haven't actually changed this slide from the BTEC slide at all, because the careers and further study for GCSE and BTEC level 2 are exactly the same. The world of sport is absolutely thriving, and it allows you to harness your passion and enthusiasm for sport in so many different ways. So you can see on that slide, there are so many careers you can go into in further education. So you've got PE teaching, coaching, sports analyst, sports journalism, physiotherapy, nutrition, personal training, sports scientist, movement analysis, and there are so many more. It would be impossible for me to list them all. You can link them as well with other subjects. There's really nice links. So if you really enjoy science and biology and you also really enjoy PE, it might be that you go into sports science or physiotherapy. If you really like English and you also really like PE, you might look at sports journalism. Okay, so lots of different links with other subjects as well in there. And if this is something that you enjoy at Key Stage 4, there are fantastic opportunities for you at Key Stage 5. So you can go on to do A-level PE at 6th form, and you can also go on to do BTEC Sport Level 3 at 6th form, or obviously college if that's more suited for you. Okay, so loads and loads of opportunities for you to carry on studying, and then obviously to go into further education to do hopefully go to university to do a degree, or maybe go into an apprenticeship, or maybe go into the world of work and get a job. Okay, so loads and loads of opportunities available if you were to take this course. If you require any further information about these courses, then please get in touch with me, okay? So I'm obviously Mrs. Hill, I'm the head of PE, and my email address is a.hill@georgesalter.com. And you can drop me an email, or your parents can drop me an email if they've got any questions, and I will obviously get back to you as soon as I can and help you with any questions that you might have. Okay, thank you, Year 9.